Now, when you was a part of this industry, if you don't mind, I just wanted to ask you this.
Oh yeah.
I was making a comparison earlier of some of the things that me and you spoke in regards to what you've seen in the industry, and the brother Jay Quan, because I just happened to watch something he was doing, a documentary on BET, and
Hmm.
I was wondering some of the things that you've seen, or some of the spiritual metamorphosis you begin to go through, just being a part of that industry. What went on in your spirit that just pushed you out of there? Like, what are some of the things you experienced?
Man, I remember very clearly, like when I left, because I left it for the first time, and then I ended up coming back because under the contract that I had, the only way that they would release me to be able to put out the gospel project that I put out was that I had to agree to come back and do another R&B project. So in between those two projects, a good friend of mine who was he was a radio personality here in Baltimore by the name of Big Tony, he passed away. So at his funeral, the pastor who was who was presiding over his funeral, he said, and he was making it like he was talking to everybody, but I knew and he knew that he was talking to me. And he said, it's going to be a period where as though you're going to go out on stage and everybody going to be screaming. He said, but when you go back to your hotel room, you going to be in there by yourself and you going to be screaming, God. And sure
Ooh,
enough, that's what happened. It's like during that time, it's like I didn't know literally if I was going or coming. It was times where as though I would go to the other members of my singing group and I would tell them like, look, my suitcase, tell them where my suitcase is located in my room and be like, if y'all ever see me come out my room and my clothes not matching and I'm looking crazy or something like that, please just walk me back to my room and pick me out an outfit and put it on the bed for me to put on. Because I didn't know, like the spirit, like the felt like the Heavenly Father, like when they prayed, King David prayed, like uphold me with thy free spirit and do not take your spirit away from me. I felt like he took like all my sanity away from me during that time that we was doing that third album, to the point where we would do interviews and I wouldn't even know what I said. Like I had to wait and watch it on TV like everybody else to remember
mm,
what I said because I didn't know what I was saying. Like I was like a zombie, and it was like, remember when the story when King David would play for King Saul, he would play for him music to calm
right.
his spirit. It was like
Mm-hmm.
certain songs that I would listen to, and it would bring me back to myself. And it ended up being like the whinings. It was like a lot of old gospel music from like the 80s and the
Hmm.
early 90s that was still based off of the Bible because we gonna get it. We can get into this later on too. Even
Hmm.
gospel music have been tampered with. Like the gospel music that we listening to now is not based out the Bible like the gospel music from like the 70s and the 80s. I don't know if
Right.
anybody watching saw the Clark Sisters movie, where as though they saw Twinkie, whenever she would write a song for them to sing, she would have her Bible in her hand, and the song, the lyrics to the songs that she would write was based straight out of the Bible. Whereas though the
Mm.
gospel music now is based off of, yeah, you got some new age influence, you got some whatever made people feel good influence and stuff like that. So even the gospel music has been
Hmm.
tampered with in these days that we in right now. So it's like the old school stuff is the best stuff. So it's just like my at the time that I was doing that, I basically felt like I lost my mind, and the only thing that would bring me back to reality is when I would listen to that gospel music and it would bring me back to hearing those words straight from the Bible would bring me back to who I was. But then as soon
Hmm.
as I would go right back out there on stage and get right back in that mix, I would go right back to myself that didn't know if I was going or coming from
Right. Now, let me ask you this, because you and I have had conversations, and we've done it on air as well, where
them.
you've already stated you haven't participated in nothing outright or demonic,
Right.
as far as a ritual or a oath of silence or a sacrifice, nothing to that degree. So let me ask you
Hmm.
this: what do you think is the overall outlining factor, the triggering component to the spiritual deprivation that you was feeling? You think is the atmosphere? Do you think it was the I would say covert psychological impression that the industry had? Was it the sin, or what was it? What was the underlying feeling? Do you think that you think from looking back at it now, what it was that was so what we would call evil about what was going on in that time?
I think it's when you know better. With the old school saying that people say when you know better, you do better. It's like the more I would come to know and the more that I would learn about the Heavenly Father, it's like the more He would hold me responsible for what I was doing. See what I'm saying? Because like when I
Right.
first started, I really didn't know much because all I knew was what they teach in church on a regular basis, like regular Christian church that I was going to. So it's like
Right.
as long as I would stay within the parameters and not do the things that was dudes taught there that we wasn't supposed to do, I was okay. But as
Mhm.
soon as I started reading and researching more, like Spider-Man said, with great power come great responsibility. So it's like the more
Absolutely.
I would learn about the Heavenly Father, the more He will hold me responsible for more actions and stuff. Because as you know better, you're supposed to do better. But as I was knowing, I was learning more and knowing better, but I was still doing the same crap. You see what I'm saying? So it's like
Absolutely.
certain stuff that the Bible will teach you that's wrong, but church will teach you is okay. Like for example, this is like not as far as music, but like in church, they'll say if you're a good person if you don't drink and you don't smoke. Whereas though in the Bible it permits you to drink, but it tell you
Mhm.
that you're not supposed to eat crabs and shellfish. So it's
Right.
like once you know that you're not supposed to be doing these things, and then you still continue to do them. Like I never had an allergy to crabs and shellfish, and I'm not trying to be racist. I hope I don't sound ignorant, but
Right.
most of the people that I know that had shellfish allergies was always light skinned. And man, I'm brown. I never had a shellfish allergy, but as soon as I read and I found out that we wasn't supposed to be eating it, the next
Mhm.
time I ate some crabs after knowing better, I got the itching all over and swelling and
Mhm.
everything because I knew better. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? So it's like once you start knowing better, then you get convicted to things that you might wasn't convicted to before. So during the time that I was putting out the gospel project, I really was reading my Bible, trying to make my songs by words out the Bible. So the more that I was reading and the more that I was learning, I was supposed to be changing in my actions too. So the fact that I wasn't changing in my actions, I think that's what the Heavenly Father allowed me to feel those things, so it could let me know. All right, now you know better. Before you ain't
Right.
know better. It can say in Hebrews like he used to wink. I think it's Hebrews. He used to wink at our ignorance because he know we ain't know no
Mhm.
better. But once
Right.
you start knowing better, and you still keep doing the same stuff or still keep trying to do the same stuff, that's when you start getting punished. That's when you really start getting smacked up. Like our parents. I was always
Mhm.
use an example, like a little newborn baby. If you lift up a newborn baby and they just being born, sometimes the
Mhm.
baby might pee on whoever lifting them up out of excitement from being picked up. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Mhm.
And people would look at that like, oh my goodness, that's cute. I even heard some people say that's good luck. But
Right. Right.
we being grown and we know better
Mhm.
than that. We pee on me or you pee on somebody, they gonna try to kill us. Or if somebody try to pee on me or you, we gonna
Right.
try to kill
Right.
them because they know better. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
So the veil was being lifted, and that conviction came in, and I
Mm-hmm.
just want to say that's a blessing in itself that you was right there in the cusp of everything. You know, the bright
Yes, sir.
lights. You know, the life as we would call it. And
Mm-hmm.
the whole time, the veil was being lifted simultaneously. Not too many brothers can
Right.
say that it happened that way. And
Right.
that's a blessing right there. Most High was speaking to you. He was like, nah, I'm gonna need you for something else. I'm gonna need you to warn my people. I'm gonna
That's
need
it
you to
right
tell
there.
them. Right. But yeah, absolutely. How about in the secular realm? Do you believe that, or have you witnessed any of that like clicks um go behind the door, all of a sudden this person is popping. This person they getting spins on the radio, and
Mhm.
you know this person before and you know them after, or you kind of was affiliated before and after. You know, like, hey, something ain't quite adding up here. You know what I'm saying? Have you
Yeah.
have not naming anybody or anything, but just
Mhm.
have you experienced that?
Man, I all I can say is that I experienced somebody who used to be like relatively close to me, and they told me one time that they went to a party
Mm,
and they didn't like go into detail with what they saw or whatever, but they started naming a bunch of names of people that they saw at this party. And they was like every time they saw a person, they was like, what happens here stays here. That's what the person kept telling them. And the person never told me about anything that possibly happened to him. But all I know is after that, the person was started acting very weird. Like they would roam through the hallways of the hotel in a undershirt and box of drawers or whatever, and knock on doors of other people talking about I need a friend, I need somebody to talk to and stuff like that. And the person never did nothing like that before. And people would come to me because they knew that I knew the person and we was cool. And it's more like, what's up with your boy? Like, why you acting like that then? You see what I'm saying? And it's like I didn't have any answers because I wasn't there. All I know that it was right after, shortly after they told me about that party that they went to. Like, mind you, they didn't go into any details, tell me what happened at the party, what they saw at the party, or anything like that. But shortly after that, they never acted the same again. Like, they was always very different and always like very out there, where so they wasn't like that before.
They was just never the same. They was spiritually deprived, like like a man that's been maimed or neutered or something. Like, and see, that's why we talk about spiritual depravity right now, because I guess it's safe to say that what Cat Williams was saying about the parties, they pretty much rituals, like on some Oswald.
That's what I thought about. That's what I thought about when he said it. When I seen the Cat Williams, I was like, hold up, this person told me about a party. So who knows if they saw the same? Who knows if they was even at the same party? For all we know, but it's like right after that party, that person was never the same person that I recognized ever again. You know,
man, and that's what, and that's what a lot of brothers and sisters got to understand with that industry. It's like this, right? You got all these platforms. You got Spotify, you got Apple Music, you got YouTube, you got Instagram, you got Facebook, you got all these outlets that you can go to put out your music. It's like, do you really think it's worth it to try to be the best? I mean, the number one artist in the world. Do you really think it's worth it? You have someone right here who was a part of the industry that's giving you firsthand accounts, not something he heard, not something he seen on TV, but he was there. He was there in the 90s. He was there. This man had been side by side with Biggie Smalls. He'd have been side by side with a lot of notable figures. And you know, people who didn't got their lives taken away, murdered, and things of that nature. This brother experienced all of these things firsthand. And I just want you to share some of the I would say some of the notable moments in your career where you got some knowledge or wisdom from some of these artists that not only passed on, that were actually in the industry who you know said certain things to you that helped you in the industry, or you know, or people that you met with that maybe no longer here or still here that were just good brothers, you know. Because I mean, my thing is, if you ain't got nothing nice to say about nobody, we ain't gonna do it on this channel. But you know, because I want to give people some balance. Like, I don't want people to walk away with this thinking that everybody in the
industry, they just hate. They sit on there and hate.
Yeah, and everybody in the industry is sickos, weirdos, and they all like undercover and all like, nah. I mean, is it some? I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna give you the mic and let you kind of expound on it, brother.
Yeah, I mean, like me, when I was in it, like I was naive. I ain't know nothing. So I will say that, you know, like I definitely still enjoy artistry, and somebody that did give me wisdom was KC from Jodeci, which is always our favorite group. Like, he gave me wisdom, even that he knows some stuff to where we at, because I was telling him about, you know, when I first come into the truth and stuff like that. And he was telling me, like, man, when the Most High got his hands on you, it's only but so far he'll let you go. Like, he'll let you get to the door or something like that. It's just like a dog trying to get out of the yard that he belongs in. He's like, he got that leash around your neck. And just when you try to get out that yard, he yank you right back. And that's true. That's so true what happened to me. Like, the Most High, I prayed and he let me get into that industry, but he only let me get but so far. As soon as he saw me getting a little bit too far, seeing me start dipping my head indoors where as though that I might not supposed to been looking in there, or dealing with people that I might not supposed to been looking at or whatever like that, yank me right back out of it every single time. Even to this day, if I try to go back out there today or tomorrow, I believe that because I hope that in his grace and mercy that he would yank me back. But sometimes, like you said, like we said earlier, when you know better, he'd be like, oh, he know better. So whatever happened to him at this point, what the book say, who will pity a snake charmer that go in with snakes and then get bit? Nobody gonna feel sorry because he already know better. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I don't even try to tiptoe on it nowadays because I know better. But when I didn't know better, he surely brought me right back. And K, I give always respect to the brother KC for giving me that knowledge because he was in it way longer than me. You see what I'm saying?
Right,
And
right.
like, that's one of the realer brothers that I was able to keep in contact with. The brother Next, the brother RL from Next was always like a good brother, always giving good nuggets and gems. They was actually younger than us, and I remember I used to give him nuggets because like I remember people like I said before, people always think that the rappers is the ones that's always thorough and ready to fight and all that, but them dudes Next from Minnesota,
Mm-hmm.
every party they did when they first came out got shut down because they ended up fighting. Not even people end up fighting in the party. They end up fighting. Because
Right.
anybody said anything, oh, they soft, oh, they R&B sing. Okay, we soft, but take this to your jaw real quick. So, like, them guys, they was always real guys, man. You know, and it's like, you hate to say it, but, like, a lot of the realest ones be the ones that no matter how talented they are, like, no matter how good they sing and stuff like that, you look at it and you like, why they didn't go further? Why they
Mm-hmm.
not bigger than what they are? Like, they sing better than all these people that's out here now. You feel me? Man, they bigger than all these people. Why they not better, bigger than them? They better than all of them. And that's because they probably, that's the ones that I feel like still got integrity, still got their souls intact and stuff like that, and just really just there. Like what the girl Ebony say on Players Club, I'm just here to dance. So the ones who just here to sing,
Mm-hmm.
you ain't gonna get as far as the ones that's here to do everything. You see what I'm saying?
Right,
So it's
right.
a lot of times people look at it negatively when a person didn't get super big or they not super mega stars because of how good they can sing. But I look at them people in a positive light because I'm like, all right, it's something that you didn't do because
Mm-hmm.
you had the talent. So the fact that you ain't get further than what you got, that made me feel like you still got some of your soul left. You see what I'm saying? And that's more important than anything else. Because like you said when we first started, before I joined in with you, I heard you say it. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? So it's like the people that's gaining the whole world probably don't got no soul, but the people who didn't gain the whole world and just making just enough to feed their family or
Mm-hmm.
making just enough to pay their bills and stuff like that, they probably the ones that still got their souls intact for real. So I give respect out to them people before I give respect out to the ones who everybody else think is the greats and the quote unquote goats, because we already know that the goat is the devil. The people
Mm-hmm.
calling themselves a goat, we know what the real goat is.
Right,
You know,
right. That
so
Baphomet. You know,
exactly. So if you ain't the goat, then you probably is the one that still got some soul left for real, and somebody can still look in your eyes and see that they talking to a human being.